Hi guys, welcome back over to my channel. Today's video, I am here with Stella, my blue-tongued skink. If you can't tell, I did like a blue foam background for blue-tongued skinks. So today's video, I wanted to talk about some things that you should know before getting a blue-tongued skink. These are just things that you should consider before, going and getting a new pet, especially blue-tongued skinks that live 15 plus years. So we're going to talk about some things that I had absolutely no idea about until I got my blue-tongued skink, and I want to warn you guys, I'm not say warn, but just talk about them before you go out and get one of these awesome lizards. First thing I wanted to talk about is they burrow a lot more than you would think. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, they burrow, but they don't say much, and every time they show their blue-tongued skink, they are always like out and active. But my blue-tongued skink burrows about 3 to 4 hours a day, as well as she's burrowed most of the time all night. And completely be shown all the time, but they will burrow sometimes. Some burrow more than others. I have a baby blue-tongued skink upstairs right now that I'm fostering, and he burrows probably 90% of the time. So I would just be aware of that they might burrow a bit, and if you don't see your blue-tongued skink in the enclosure, they're most likely burrowed underneath something and in their substrate. So just be aware of this before getting it. I don't find it to be a huge downfall in my opinion, but it's definitely something that you need to think about. Next thing is blue-tongued skinks' diets can be a bit confusing. A lot of people do say this, but they need, a proper amount of meat and protein in their diet. They need a correct amount of vegetables. They need some fruits in their diet. They can have, other things added in, like some bee pollen. They can have snails as additional protein every once in a while. So it definitely is a lot. So you definitely need to look into it. I do have a video on blue-tongued skink diet, so I would recommend looking at it if you are in denial. And I also know a few other people on YouTube, like Emily Rose, she has a great video, and I think Emma Sampson also has a video on feeding her blue-tongued skink and dietary requirements and needs. So I recommend checking those out along with some other people, and just keep your options open. Do not be, very close-minded about things, because it's easy to do that before you get the animal, but once you get it, it's kind of whatever works for your pet, so just keep that in mind. Blue-tongued skinks can actually be kind of puffy. Stella, every morning, when she usually wakes up, if I take her out within the first hour she wakes up, she is quite puffy. She's not the happiest. Baby blue-tongued skinks, oh my gosh. These guys can also be a little bit awkward to hold, especially if you're just getting into them. It's kind of like holding a potato with legs. It's the best way to describe it, like Clint's Reptiles has said before. They're just kind of a long, low stick with little tiny legs. So they're kind of awkward, because if your dragon at least has longer legs, they have a longer body, it's easier to hold them. But blue-tongued skinks have like this robust back, and they're very hardy, and then they have these little tiny legs, so it can be a little bit confusing handling them. And I do plan to make a handling video on blue-tongued skinks soon, but I wanted to make this video first. And yeah, I mean, they're great animals, but they can be a little bit awkward and confusing to hold at first. Blue-tongued skinks also need quite humid environments. I think the lowest humidity is in northern, which I believe is 40 to 50% or so. Stella is about 50 to 70%, so she's kind of your average blue-tongued skink, but it is a lot. She has a fogger that I have to fill every day to every other day. A lot of people get like misters, like mist kings that are already in, so you do not have to mist them handheld, which I have to handheld mist her tank about 3 or 4 times a day. So if you're gone a lot, or you want an animal that is pretty low maintenance, I would definitely not recommend them. They are a bit easier than bearded dragons in my opinion, but that is just coming from me. People will have different thoughts on that and have different experiences. But I will say humidity can be a pain in the butt in trying to keep it high enough and steady enough, because they can get an RI from it being too low too often. And they also really seem to like really humid environments. That's just kind of how they are. It's from the wild. They're just in very humid environments, and they seem to really enjoy it. And that is what makes them thrive. I do it for my skink, but I know some people that would not want to do that all the time. So again, if you're gone a lot, I would not recommend it unless you're planning to get like a misting system and a fogger. Then I would definitely not recommend a blue-tongued skink for you. Another thing, blue-tongued skinks can be really fast. I had no idea about this until I got my blue-tongued skink, and she was doing laps around her 40-gallon aquarium at the time, and she was running so fast I literally couldn't even pick her up, because that was how flighty she was when I got her. She was not handled very often, and people just really didn't try to tame her down, which is one of the reasons I got rid of her. So, I mean, I handled her. I gave her about 3 weeks to settle in. It took her 8 weeks to start eating consistently. So I didn't handle her too often until she really started eating. So after that 6 to 8 week period, once she started eating, I handled her every single day, 2 times a day for 5 to 10 minutes, and within 3 weeks she was pretty much as chill as this. So definitely something that you do need to think about, because sometimes they can come to you very skittish. I didn't have a problem taming her down at all, but I know some that will not tame down at all, or it's going to be very scary for you to tame them down since it might be your first animal, or you've never handled a blue-tongued skink before, worked with a lizard of this size and this weird body shape. So definitely keep that in mind before getting your blue-tongued skink. Another thing, blue-tongued skinks get bored in their enclosures very easily, at least Stella. Stella's very explorative. She loves to do new things in her enclosure. So even if I use the same decorations, I have to swap her tank up like every 2 weeks or so, because otherwise she gets really bored and just looks really sad. So definitely you're going to need a lot of decor and a lot of things to put in their enclosure, and maybe have a few extra things in mind to swap out or add in there every once in a while. For more enrichment, since they do seem to get bored really easy. Like bearded dragons kind of sit in the same few spots. Obviously you need big enclosures and a lot of stuff for them to do as well. But her, she is so active all day, every day in her 90-gallon melamine enclosure. So definitely keep that in mind and make sure that you have the funds to get a lot of decorations and a lot of different hides and a big water bowl, etc. These are just some of the things you're going to need to consider before getting your blue-tongued skink, but I absolutely love blue-tongued skinks. These are just some things that I saw a lot of people lacked to mention. Obviously this could just be Stella, could just be my experience with blue-tongued skinks, but I would say a lot of blue-tongued skinks probably are going to have these things as well. So that is it for the video. I really hope that this helped you guys out in your debate on getting a blue-tongued skink, or if you plan to get one and none of this seems to be a huge issue or complete turnoff, and you still want to get the species. I 100% recommend them to people that have roughly about 2 or so hours that they can dedicate to their animal every day for feeding them, doing maintenance, again, misting, handling, etc. So I will see you guys next time. Comment any questions or message me on my Instagram, which is @Emmy'sPets, with any questions or concerns about my animals or questions you have. I would love to help you guys out. I will see you guys next time. I love you so, so much. Stay awesome. Bye, guys.